Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday morning. My name is Matthew Kadish. I'm the producer of the Salty Nerd Podcast with you today to talk about all types of high school-esque drama and nonsense and things nobody cares about but us. And with me is my fantastic panel of nerds, as always, starting with my brother from another mother, Matt Vader74. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. I'm not quite caffeinated yet, but I'll be there very soon. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's have some fun, man.
All right, and he's here. He's queer. He's our shield against all things woke. Brian from the Popcast, our beard for the show. How you doing, Brian?
Not bad, my friend. It's gonna be a fun day. A lot of good topics. A lot of fun topics.
Yeah, and just so you know, we can say pretty much anything we want because Brian is genderqueer.
That's right.
He is non-binary.
Right.
And so he gives us cover to say pretty much whatever we can and not.
And I'm Latinx. I'm Latinx, genderqueer, non-binary.
He's got all the boxes ticked.
Yeah. All the boxes are ticked. Yeah. And I identify as an Apache helicopter.
Dang! Wow. Okay. So we can go to war. All right.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do, we're good to go. We're good to go.
And the All-Father himself has come down from Valhalla to join us on our piddly live stream. Odin from O&B Reviews. How you doing, Odin?
I'm doing just great, and that's pretty much all that I can say because that's what my contract requires of me. So.
Exactly. And, we're not paying you $50 million, but whatever we are paying you, we're going to take 20% off should we get banned from YouTube.
Dang it. Well, again, 50 cents. It was, again, I needed the cash. Tax season's coming around, and that 50 cents is going to make a big difference. So 20% off of that's going to hurt. But, I think
exactly.
we'll make it.
I do know that we pay you more than the Geeks and Gamers Nerdrotic business does. I think they pay you in pineapple pizza, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I have to throw it away every time because I don't eat that crap. So,
Basically,
but it's great to be here, and thank you always for having me on. I always look forward to these streams.
And joining us for the first time on Salty Saturday Mornings is the godfather of the movie tuber movement himself, Sean Chandler. Big fan of Sean's. I've been trying to get him on the show for a while, and he finally decided to get me to stop bugging him by agreeing to come on just so he can get rid of me.
It started with I was supposed to be on 6 weeks ago, and then I got sick for like 3 weeks, and then I felt great. I'm like, hey man, let's do it. Let's do this Saturday. And then you canceled the day before, so it's like a month straight of sickness. Finally here to talk movies, nerdy stuff, and all sorts of things that might get me in trouble.
Yeah, and I've been a big fan of Sean's channel for a while. He's been very helpful in giving advice to fellow movie tubers about how to grow their channels on YouTube and all that stuff. Sean, you've actually got a lot of appearances coming up at Comic Cons and stuff. Why don't you tell people a little bit about that?
Yeah, so back in 2019, I did one little panel. I was like, that was a lot of fun. So in 2020, I decided I wanted to do a ton of them. 2020 did not want to do a bunch of Comic Con, so those plans got canceled. So finally last year, started getting traction again. So this year, I'm going all in on it. So next month, I'm going to be at Portland, Fan Expo Portland. And then March, I'll be at Fan Expo Cleveland, as well as MegaCon in Orlando. And then in June, I'll be at Fan Expo Dallas. Both talking movies way too much and also doing a panel on how to grow a nerdy YouTube channel. And several of these, I'm hoping to bring in a bunch of my YouTube friends. So I can't confirm any of those things yet or who will be joining me, but I've got some people I'm very excited to collaborate with. Some of them meet for the first time, and I've been watching them for 10 years. So a bunch of cool stuff coming in the next few months.
Nice.
Well, hopefully Brian Hollinger can join you at one of those things. Big fan of his channel as well. So I want to give a shout out to all those in the chat right now. Shadow Dragon, Bo Sison or Sison, I don't know how to pronounce that, but Bo is here. Tim Tringle Jr., good to see you, Tim. Anthony Mark, good old stable, reliable Anthony Mark is here. Penny, Danny's mom. Scotty Dub, one of our $100 members, $100 club members. Good to see you, Scotty. Who else do we got here?
I think it's Sison. That's how I would pronounce it.
Sison.
It sounds very French. Sison. Yes.
Joker voice, hashtag keep talking. Danny the Dork Knight is in the chat. We got Shorty Short. We have Broba Fett. OMB Reviews happens to be here. That's really nice. Dr. Shadow Dragon. Who else?
Wow, that's a new one.
Quantum Cat 76. Joey's movie blog is here, and Astro Nerd Boy, another member of the original member of the $100 Club, is here as well. And there's Rebecca Spade is also here. So thank you all for joining us today. And as always, we want to give some love to our top donators. So we have Astro Nerd Boy, Scotty Dub, and Bob Dorsey on our top super chat list. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. We really appreciate super chats. If you guys like what we do here, you want to help support the channel, super chats are always appreciated. And if you join the $100 club, you get listed in all of our live streams. And of course, we will be displaying all of our super chats in the ticker at the bottom of the screen. And later, I believe we already have 2 super chats.
We got 3 actually. And just for the
one
record, your sound is not great.
Yeah.
My sound?
Yeah, you were mumbled that whole time.
Yeah.
It's fine right now, but I
You're good now.
think that there was some typing that was going on, so it was like dropping your voice down in order to accommodate another sound.
But that's okay. We're gonna go with this
You
one.
sound good now, Matt. You sound good now.
All right, Bader, why don't you read this one?
Joker voice for $5. He's still not pregnant, guys. He's still not pregnant. That's good.
Wow.
I hear Mark Hamill is retiring his voice as the Joker. Hey, James Gunn, I might know a guy. Call me. Hashtag keep talking. Yeah, we'll be talking about that, I think, later on in the show. Thank you, Joker, for the $5. Much appreciated. And I can't find my mouse.
The source material tells me differently, though, Joker.
So
The source material says that he is pregnant. Modern comics.
There you go. Oh, you want me to read it? I'm sorry. He's like,
that was your assignment.
My job is
Dead
to
air.
put them up, and your job is to read them. But okay,
Never have
Scott,
dead air, man.
I know. Scotty Dub.
Good
G's
buy.
for $49.99. Thank you so much, Scotty. You are such a cool dude. Aloha to the salty nerds and the rest of this great crew.
For what it's worth.
For what it's worth. I'm a noob. I wish Crowder and Daily Wire would stop squabbling already and focus on the real issues. Their public problems are a sad distraction. Very, very true. And I wish the same. And again, we're going to be touching on that very, very soon. And then we have one more from Mexican Iron Man for $19.99. Man, you guys are generous today. Listening in on the long drive from Northern California to Southern California.
Oh,
wow.
He's coming to see me. He's coming to see me. Man, lock the doors.
Wow, for this amazing panel. Thank you so much, Mexican Iron Man. That is awesome. You're always very generous. One of our big supporters. So I'm sorry about that drive. That sucks.
That's
but,
a big drive.
But
That's
hey,
a
we'll
big
help.
drive.
We'll help the drive.
California's
That's
a tall state.
That's
A
right.
very tall state.
All right,
Okay,
so
Matthew.
are you guys ready to be banned by YouTube?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to go into
About all
the
this
biggest
stuff.
topic that's going on right now. Yes.
All right, so we're going to start off with talking about the latest controversy surrounding the Hogwarts Legacy video game, which is that it's being boycotted. And this is kind of a weird thing because Harry Potter is such a hugely popular IP, and yet there's a concerted effort to basically cancel it because the creator, has some issues with the trans movement. And I'm just going to call up our article right here. So this is from Dextero.com, and it basically is a breakdown of why people are so upset with the Hogwarts Legacy game. And for those of you who don't know, Hogwarts Legacy, we've had other Harry Potter games in the past, but this is the first truly open world game set in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. So you got freedom. It's almost like Grand Theft Auto, but in the wizarding world. So you can create your own character. You can go out and spells and go to Diagon Alley and all this other stuff.
Yep.
And explore the world of Harry Potter. And it's something that fans have been wanting for a long time. And through multiple years of development, it's been going through. But J.K. Rowling is the real issue here because she wrote the Harry Potter book. She created this whole universe, and she's come out as very much against the trans movement by saying that it kind of denigrates a woman's role and their privacies and all this other stuff. And so people in support of the trans movement have not been taking that type of view very well. And in fact, a lot of actors involved in the Harry Potter franchise have come out against her views very publicly, and some of them even lost, jobs because of it.
Wow.
But particularly in the Fantastic Beast movies. But the big thing here is that people are now trying to boycott the game, not because the game is bad or has anything at all to do with the political issues surrounding this controversy. It's because it's due to the fact that J.K. Rowling gets money should this game succeed. But the thing is that it's a licensing deal, so she's already made her money off this thing. She's just gonna get like a royalty based off of like number of units sold on top of that. So
like
it's
she
not
needs
like
more money.
Yeah, she's already a multi-billionaire. So, but people on the left and in support of the LGBTQ plus trans movement are wanting to tank this game because they don't want to reward J.K. Rowling in any way, shape, or form. But a lot of gamers are like, hey, and a lot of Harry Potter fans are like, hey, if this game fails, we're not going to get any more Harry Potter games. We're not going to get as good of Harry Potter games. And it's kind of crappy to punish the developers of this game because they have nothing to do with this. But it's kind of a hot button topic. And Matt Bader, I know you wanted to talk about this in particular. So why don't we start with you? What's your take on the boycott of Hogwarts Legacy?
All right, so here's the thing. You have a very small, minute amount of very noisy people with phones and computers that make a lot of noise. And the only thing that they're doing is they're driving sales to this game. There are people out there, including people on this panel, who would never have bought that game in a million years because it's just not something that we want to play. But yet it's going to break sales records. It's going to destroy Twitch on the first day that it's open. And it's going to be one of the most popular games in gaming history. And it's all because these people can't shut their mouths about their little boycotts and their little temper tantrums because people have different opinions than their own. And, it is what it is. I'm thinking about buying it. I wouldn't have bought a Harry Potter game for anything.
Yep.
I don't have time to play video games, and I'm thinking about buying it just to stick the big middle finger up at everybody so I can have a Instagram moment. It's like, here's my copy, and that's how I feel. And I know I'm not the only one because people tell me that kind of stuff almost every day. This is going to be a huge game, and it's way bigger because of the boycott, and it is what it is, man. Keep boycotting. Yep. See what happens, people. Let's
boycott
go.
Harder.
Yeah, you're doing the game a favor.
So, Brian, you're our queer representation on the panel. So, are you insulted by J.K. Rowling's stance against your kind?
I'm deeply insulted, Matt. Deeply. No, not at all. Look, it's weird that I'm now forced to defend J.K. Rowling. It's the weirdest thing. But I will always defend someone's ability to speak freely, and her opinions about like the trans movement and all that stuff. Listen, she's a feminist. She was a feminist when she started Harry Potter. She was always an ally, but the second she goes, hold up, wait a minute, these people shouldn't be playing in competitive sports. Hold up, my clinic for pregnancy and abortion and my woman's clinic is only going to actually serve women that need it. Because if you are identifying as a woman, you do not need women's services. Let's be real. No, I support J.K. Rowling in this one. And I might buy the game too. I might buy the game because FYI, I wasn't even aware of it when then all this stuff came up. I looked at the trailer. I'm like, game looked pretty good.
Yeah,
looked pretty good. Might have to stream it with Vader on Twitch, right? Have a little co-stream. Yeah, it'd be fun.
You see that? You and me was. I don't know what am I doing and trying to like.
What is this?
What is? I don't know how to do this.
Expectorus. Expectorus Stopus. I don't know.
Transicus Shutupicus. I don't get it. So
Could you imagine if they built in like some mic, like you actually have to like speak the spells into the game? That'd
be awesome.
That'd be fantastic. All right, so Sean, J.K. Rowling, she's been a very progressive voice for a long time, like supportive, like gay characters. Like she came out and made Dumbledore gay. She's extremely to the left of Lennon on a lot of issues. And she was a darling of the left until she kind of came out and said, like, men who say they're women shouldn't be able to go into women's bathrooms. And then this whole thing blew up, and now she's got like a very concerted group who are set against her. And it's actually affected the movies as well, like the Fantastic Beasts stuff. They actually like fired one of the actresses from the latest sequel and stuff like that because of her coming out against J.K. Rowling and a bunch of other things. So what's your take on this? Do you think that this hate is warranted, or do you think that it's just kind of a waste of time?
Two thoughts immediately come to mind. The first one is it's almost like the problem with the social media era where we know every actor, writer, director's opinions on everything, which we just don't need to know this. Like her ability to come up with a fantasy world, like nothing to do with her like detailed thoughts on every political issue, and we're in an era where everyone is sounding off on everything and have a platform to do that. So all of a sudden we know that little minute thing where you would disagree with someone. So right off the bat, it's like, why do we even know this about what she thinks about some of this stuff? The second one is, I always just find it so odd, the things that the universe decides to like lock in on that's boycott worthy. Like the number of writers, directors, actors, programmer people that are convicted felons that were not boycotting actual like people that have committed violence against others or like serious allegations. They're not boycotting those things. Everybody knew about Weinstein for years, but everyone still went to go see Harvey Weinstein produce movies. But J.K. Rowling has a take on an issue that's really complex and moving very quickly in our society as our knowledge and understanding is changing drastically in a radical pace, and she doesn't have the most up-to-date stance on it. And that's the thing that's boycott worthy, not all the felons. And it's just like picking these very specific things. That's to me what is so odd about some of this stuff of, okay, well, she holds opinions that you disagree with, but what about all the people that worked on it that have opinions you do agree with that you're hurting in what you're doing? It's just like so strange that it's like zeroing in on one person, their thought on one issue, and ignoring everything else, where if you just step back and think about it, well, obviously, a lot of people that worked on this, that make money from this, hold opinions that you dramatically disagree with on topics that you're very passionate about, but you've picked one person, one topic, and locked in on it. That to me, I don't understand kind of how that side of where society's at that we do that.
Yeah, dude, that actor from Wednesday,
Jenna Ortega.
No, the Percy White, I think his name is, her love interest in the show. He like actually like physically sexually assaulted people.
What?
And,
I did not know this.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
But there's a lot of people. Yeah, you're right. Allegedly, but there's a lot of people that are coming out. And no boycott on that. No boycott on that. No, let's boycott this person's tweet. Also, if you think about that, you got a good point, Sean, because how many times we said, if you like actors, don't go to their Twitter, because their political opinions are almost always garbage.
Always.
Right? They always have horrible takes, dude. Like horrible. Like I love Tuvok from Voyager.
Oh.
Boy, Tim Russ is just sort of nuts, man. He's a little nuts. And you read his Twitter and like every single post, it just sounds like some angry dude just screaming at a white person on his lawn. Yeah. It's really hard to take. So if you like something, don't go look at it.
I made a on my Twitter, and everybody can go to my Twitter and follow it if you want. I have a list, and this is called Trek Actors.
Yeah.
And I took all the Trek actors that were in every show pre-Kurtzman. that has a Twitter account, and they're all in there. But if you watch that list, the list is 98% nothing but Tim Russ and George Takei going bananas.
Just going
every
bananas.
day, going bananas, being nuts. And it's actually kind of entertaining in a weird way. And every once in a while, you'll see like somebody come up, it's like, hey, I'm gonna be at this con, or something once in a while. But yeah, it's wild.
It's weird.
It's wild.
It's weird when you see Tim Russ where he's like, "Oh, white people, conservatives, the vaccine," and then I'm gonna be at this convention over here on the 3rd. Anyways, back to Trump.
I will say that Shatner's Twitter is epic, and everyone should be following that one.
True.
So Odin, one of the weird things about this is that J.K. Rowling was actually part of like the cancel culture mob early on. Like, remember when she tried to accuse PewDiePie of being a Nazi and like all this other stuff without like really doing any research into it. And, but at this point, so like the tables have kind of turned on her, but is she really cancelable? Because Harry Potter was already like this monolith of a franchise by the time she made these statements, and also she's a billionaire, so she's got FU money, so like she's not really cancelable, and I don't think Harry Potter is really cancelable. So like what's the point of any of this?
Really, there is none, because as you said, she's already has a lot of money, and she's going to continue to make a lot of money, because guess what, people are still buying the original Harry Potter books too. It's like that is a cash cow that will continue to provide money for her, and I'm sure she gets kickbacks from the original movies, and obviously they've been re-releasing them with the new 4K editions and all this other things, and she's obviously had a pretty big miss when it comes to the Fantastic Beasts films, and hardcore Harry Potter fans have even said like, no, these are terrible, these are just downright awful. It is just interesting to me because I was looking up this term, because I know that she's always called a TERF, right? This term that stands for trans exclusionary radical feminist. So basically, it's a term that she is called that confirms she's a radical feminist. However, when it comes to trans issues, that's like the one exception. Like, that's like the one thing that she doesn't really fight for. And I think that you kind of worded it this way. I don't think it was like meant to be this way, but it really is true. We're not really talking about the LGBTQAIP plus community anymore. Really, it's become the trans movement, because that is what has taken center stage. Notice how no one's really talking about relationships with gay people or lesbians or anything like that, or bisexual people. It's all about the T, right? It's all about the trans issue. And so it's just that one T. I'm about to say, if you were gonna have the size of the letter based on the level of importance that the group has for it, the T would be massive.
Like one of those word clouds. It's just a giant T in the center.
Exactly. And so that's why you have all these groups that are even coming out now, where it's like trying to either separate from that or separate from some of the other issues that have been attached to it. But it really is just pure tribalism, because the other thing too is that where is this movement happening? It's social media. Social media is not real life. And so just like with the memes that made it seem, at least to the studio, I don't know why they thought this, but Sony seeing the Morbius memes coming out saying, oh, people love Morbius, they're making fun, they're going to go see it, and then no one went. People are going to be looking at this saying, oh, all these people, they're going to say, they're going to be, I'm not going to buy this game, I'm going to boycott it. It's like, well, a couple things. One, okay, you're just pushing more and more people to buy it. Two, you're most likely someone that wouldn't have bought it anyway. Like, I just educated guess. And then three, it's, again, you're talking about a very small group of people on the internet that might be able to make some waves, because people still take the internet and Twitter trends and other things like that as somehow a serious thing that has some type of financial impact. But when you look at the reality, when you look at the actual financials, there is really no correlation between the two. I mean, unless it's something to where it is a actual like real boycott, like, which is, again, this to me is just silly, because it's talking really about a minority position, I think, because most Harry Potter fans probably also don't even know that this stuff is going on. I know my wife's off Twitter, like, so she probably, as a huge Harry Potter fan, has no idea about it, because she's heard about this game, and all she's heard about is that it's coming out, and she's like, I hope to get it in July because we have a Switch. And I know it's coming out earlier on some other systems. But people are going to be going out of their way now to buy it who would not have bought it previously. You might even have some people say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to buy a bundle. I'm going to buy a PS5 with the game. It's like, they're just going to give more money to her and to everyone else. And great great job, people. Boycott harder.
Well, you know what's really interesting about this whole trans controversy and the trans movement in general is that, it's not like a live and let live thing. Like if you come out against it, pretty much every major social media platform considers any criticism as hate speech, right? You're violating their hate speech guidelines. And so you either get throttled or shadow banned or demonetized or just completely banned right off the bat. And in fact, there's this new thing out there called Chat GDP or Chat GTP, something like that. CTP, whatever. It's an AI that basically you type stuff into, and Microsoft.
Good for plagiarizing things.
Yeah, Microsoft invested like $1 billion in this thing. It's a really cool software, but it's still like if you go in there and try to do anything about trans or whatever, it won't touch it. Like even the AI is scared to take a stance on this thing, and that's why it can be co-opted for ideological stuff. So if all of our search moves to AI, we don't know what the AI is deciding, is right and wrong, and we're being exposed to that. So this has a far-reaching implication, not just in video games, but movies, internet searches, all this other types of stuff. And it's at a certain point, it's where do facts and, science and verifiable realities come into play against people's feelings?
How dare you say that word, science? How dare you?
Hey, I do feel like, given the topic of this conversation, I want to let everybody know that the Salty Nerd Podcast does indeed have a Rumble account that you can go find over at Salty Nerd Pod. So go check that out, because who knows, we might really need it here someday very soon. So yeah, go check that out. Salty Nerd Pod over at Rumble.
Real quick, you know why it can't talk about trans stuff? Because it was programmed that way.
Yeah.
So first off, the AI, there's a serious problem that I don't think everyone's completely aware of. The fact that AI is just sort of running everything, everything. AI and algorithms are just sort of controlling the mass. Well, the reason it was programmed to not talk about trans is because almost every single AI bot, like ChatGPT, the first one I think was called Trina or whatever, different bots that have been out there that have been created by these big giant companies, everyone at some point just starts to become extremely racist. It's it starts off great. Everyone's talking to it. Everyone's having a good time. Then all of a sudden, it's the world is flat. The Holocaust didn't happen. Hail Hitler.
Yeah, the high school and college students start to get in. They're like, I wonder what it'll say to this.
We're going to train it to troll.
It's crazy because the bots slowly learn over time to become flat earthers that love the Third Reich and to conspiracy theorists. It's hilarious.
Oh, Sean's going, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into?
It's true. It's very true. But looping back before the AIs became, Hitler supporters, I think so much of the conversation that kind of going back to this idea that Twitter has no sense of history. It doesn't realize that yesterday existed. You stop and think, in 2008, Obama ran against gay marriage. That's crazy if you stop and think about it. That's where the nation was at less than 15 years ago. And you have a bunch of people on Twitter that don't remember what the world was like at the turn of the century because they weren't born yet or they were still in diapers. And it's a conversation that has no room for people to grow and change. It has no grace for people that aren't as progressive as where they're at. And so all of a sudden you have these conversations that if you don't have the right take, the most modern take, we got to come and get you.
Yep.
That's a terrible context to allow people to grow. It's a terrible context to have conversations where we can understand one another, and it just creates a combative environment. And it's so strange to see when you're like, did you guys forget? Do you have no idea what the world was like prior to 10 minutes ago on Twitter?
Yeah. it destroys nuance. Like social media has completely destroyed any sense of nuance, because you mentioned about, Obama in '08. I mean, people also either forgot or never knew or didn't care enough because they were so obsessed with other things that Donald Trump was actually the first president from when he was running to when he entered to actually be supportive of LGBTQ issues.
Right.
So it's just like people, again, because of social media, there's just no nuance. It's, again, all tribalistic, and that's going to feed into a lot of the other things we're going to talk about today too. So,
All right, real quick, we got a super chat from Taylor S for $4.99. Good discussion, and Sean is the man. Watch all his movie reviews. Sean is the man, and I'm sure he's regretting every second he decided to come on this show today. He came on, he's like, "Oh, I picked the wrong week to quit drinking."
Absolutely. I can join you guys. And then you sent me the list of topics. I was like, woo! You're going for it, aren't you?
Don't worry,
Well,
I'll protect you.
Exactly. Brian's our shield.
Stand behind Brian.
Yeah, stand behind Brian.
the rainbow
All right.
shoes.
All right, so now let's get to the topic that's somewhat related, and it's the one everyone, I'm sure, is here for: the Steven Crowder versus Daily Wire feud that is going on here. This is absolutely crazy high school drama BS. So right-wing pun. We have this article from Forbes, which kind of gives you the breakdown of the timeline of what's been happening. Basically, I'll give you guys a breakdown and a little bit of context as to what's happening, but all the links of the articles we use in the show are in the description, as well as links to everyone of our panelists' channels. So, like, if you guys want to dig deeper, check out Sean's movie reviews and all that other stuff, just go to the description. All the links are there. So basically, recently Crowder ended his relationship with the Blaze TV, which used to be CRTV, which was like the premier conservative-leaning streaming network. And an interesting thing happened when he was there. So, as you all know, Crowder has had his problems with, getting demonetized and stuff like that with YouTube. And so he started this thing called Mug Club, which was a private subscription-based service. But what happened is that when he was with CRTV and then with the Blaze TV, Mug Club was basically just a subscription package for that network that he would get an affiliate commission from, a recurring affiliate commission. So everyone who went through Mug Club and signed up for the Blaze TV, Crowder would get something like, I don't know, 50%, 30%. I don't know what the breakdown was. But the Blaze was the one who handled all the signups, all the billing, all the returns, all the customer support, all that stuff. And because of that, the Blaze is the owner of all the signups, all the subscription revenue, all that stuff. And so when Crowder decided to end his relationship with the Blaze and not renew his contract, he lost access to all of his subscribers.
Yeah.
And based off of the commissions that he was making, he estimated that he had something like 350,000 subscribers to Mug Club, which equates to about $40 million a year, give or take, right?
Dang.
That he was pulling in off of Mug Club. And, that's just in gross revenue. That doesn't count like his cost of production, his legal fees, all that stuff. But that's what Mug Club gave him in terms of like revenue. So after he realized that he no longer had access to his Mug Club subscribers, he launched this thing called mugclubforever.com. And it was basically just an email sign-up page. And he told his audience, it's like, hey, if you're in Mug Club, go here and subscribe to the new Mug Club. And
To get information when it first comes out. It was basically your only email you'll get is confirmation, and then whenever the new Mug Club is officially announced.
Yeah, and so like basically he's been, ever since he ended his relationship with Blaze TV, he's been kind of scrambling to try to get the contact numbers of these 350,000 subscribers so that he can continue his independent business. And I don't think it's been going well. Like I'd be surprised if he has more than 20% of that who like followed him, because it all depends on like how often you watch and how much you're paying attention and stuff like that. So in addition to this, while he's dealing with this stuff with the Blaze TV, he's starting to field offers from other competitor networks, other conservative like businesses that want to be in the Steven Crowder business. And he came out recently with a video kind of complaining about one of these offers. And it was an offer he felt was kowtowing to big tech and social media stuff that actually works to censor conservatives. And he was very critical of the business model of catering to big tech for conservative creators. And he actually showed parts of this contract that he had received as part of a proposal. And anyone who knows anything looked at that and was like, yeah, that's Daily Wire. And so and so Daily Wire, after this video was released, they came out and the CEO, Jeremy Boring, basically said like, yeah, it was us, full transparency. Here is the entire agreement that we sent to Crowder as a way to open negotiations. It wasn't technically a contract. It was just a list of, of negotiating terms. And so he went through it. I actually sat down and watched the entire hour-long video where he like painstakingly went through like each point.
The boring video.
Very boring, but
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. But if you actually like look, if you've ever run a business, like I've run businesses myself in the past, and you're a for-profit company, and you know that you're going to be negotiating and you're trying to get the best deal possible. Everything Jeremy Boring said made perfect sense from a strictly pragmatic business point of view. And then Crowder comes out and he releases segments of a personal phone call he had with Jeremy Boring. And these are guys who go back 10 years. In fact, Ben Shapiro used to be Crowder's personal lawyer. He negotiated his deal with Fox News.
That's right.
And stuff like that. So they have like a long history of being friends and, appearing on each other's shows and helping them out. In fact, the Daily Wire actually contacted YouTube back when, Crowder was getting deplatformed and made the case for him to, got Susan Wojcicki on the phone and said like, hey, you don't want to be, kicking Crowder off the platform. So, they have a long history of being friendly and helping each other out. And so it was very surprising when basically Steven Crowder came out and said like, hey, these guys, are in the pocket of big tech and they're hurting the movement. And Crowder presented himself as taking an ideological stance on this, where he's like, I'm fine. I don't need the money. I turned this offer down, but I want to make sure that this type of business practice doesn't persist and harm future conservative content creators, because no one should ever have to sign such a restrictive contract as the proposal that was sent to me. And so he's kind of like coming at it from an ideological perspective, whereas the Daily Wire is coming at it from a pragmatic business perspective. And, the Daily Wire is owned and operated by Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring, two Jewish lawyers from California. Yeah. And having worked in the entertainment industry, I can tell you that the only people who are tougher negotiators and smarter businessmen than Jewish lawyers from California are Mormons, basically.
Terrifying.
Like in my dealings with these two groups, it's like, wow, like I've never been more beat up in my life. So Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring are coming at this from a very different perspective than Steven Crowder was. And I feel like Crowder also takes these things a little bit more personally than Boring and Shapiro do. But Ben Shapiro then came out in response to Crowder releasing this phone call with Jeremy Boring and basically just said like, Crowder's dead to us now. We are no longer in the Steven Crowder business. He's just doing this to build his email list. And so he was never in it though. The context I gave you at the beginning of this, where basically Crowder lost his Mug Club list to the Blaze, now with all the publicity and stuff like that he's created around this movement of Stop Big Con, Stop Big Conservatism or whatever, is to basically build his list quickly so that he can, once he's out in front of the Blaze TV contract, he's able to get up and running and get close to that $40 million a year paycheck that he was pulling in beforehand. So it's kind of debatable whether or not he's doing this as like a shrewd business move to exploit his friendships in order to financially profit, or if he's just such an ideologist that he doesn't care about the bridges he's burning because he's standing on principle. So I wanted to go around the panel and get your guys' perspective on this, whose side you come down on. Odin, let's start with you, since you ran a political channel for a while and you're familiar with these guys. What is your take on this, and what side do you come down on?
Yeah, it's hard to really say, which side is right, because I think that there's really bad play from both, and I think that that's, once again, kind of going back to what we were mentioning about Twitter and social media taking away nuance. It seems that this is being taken away because there are people who are very firmly in Crowder's camp. There are people who are very firmly in the Daily Wire's camp. And so, when I bring up any type of criticism of Crowder, immediately people start saying things like, oh, you're a shilling for the Daily Wire, et cetera. And it's like, no, I think that there's things that they did wrong too. The Candace Owens interview on Tim Pool's recent show, for instance, on Timcast IRL, that to me was not a good look. Right, there were some things in there that are probably things that should have been mentioned, that should have been known or been made known, but the tone and the way that it was presented, I think, did not make her end up looking all that great. And I think that just the reaction from the comment section kind of indicated that. So, for me, it's again, I think both did something wrong, but at the same time, I kind of look to Crowder as being the one who crossed the line the most, because when you are on the phone with somebody who you call your friend, and of 10 years, and then you record that conversation, and then you release a video where you take clips of that conversation, not the full context of what was being said, but just clips of it. That is almost the like that to me comes across as everything that he has been fighting against, right? That's the kind of thing that you would typically see from other ideological positions, right? And so that is in and of itself, to me, was kind of like a big breaking point of, okay, I think at this point he's kind of gone too far with this. And then, of course, now we know so much more about the timeline of when the initial offer was, that he was so apparently insulted by this to the point of, again, talking about ideological principle, that he counter-offered. And it's like, oh, you were so insulted that you actually countered for more money. Like, again, comes across as, okay, you must not have been that hurt by it.
Yeah, just for context, Daily Wire offered $50 million over the course of 4 years. Crowder came back and said, I want $30 million a year, $120 to $140 million for the full term. And he's like, and that's non-negotiable. And so Daily Wire was like, we can't afford that. They stepped away. This was back in October of last year when negotiations broke down.
Exactly. And so I look to that and I say, okay, it's for him to say it's like a purely, I'm trying to save other people from this because of that counter. I just, honestly, I don't buy that. I just, again, people can believe it. I think that we won't really know what is actually true until maybe some months or years go by, right? As more information gets released, more information comes out, as this drama continues to unfold. But again, ultimately, I do think that the way that the personalities on Daily Wire have been responding, I think have again gone too far in certain instances. I think Crowder obviously went too far with the releasing of the phone call and all the stuff that's been going on with that. Again, I can understand the arguments from both perspectives of people from the Daily Wire speaking out against it. It seems like Crowder, when he made his video, was implying that, okay, well then that means if you've signed with the Daily Wire, it means you signed something similar to this, and so therefore you are basically not true conservatives, that you're not really fighting the movement. And so they might want to speak out to say, like, okay, you're bringing me into this by proxy. And then at the same time, I can understand why he would want to respond in the way. But I honestly, my own personal take on it, again, whether I, like one or the other, is, again, I think both have done terrible things. But I think Crowder's motivation is purely to build his brand, because, I mean, again, the fact that he bought the address, a month, like he bought the address so long ago.
He bought it after the contract, after that.
Yeah.
That first, but after the first offer, though.
Bought it.
Not like he bought it before the offer.
Yeah, but like the fact that it was so long, like it was like well over a month ago, and then the phone call that was recorded was a week ago, and I think both sides have even kind of implied that the conversation was initially about family and, again, a personal phone call. So he's recording a personal phone call. So to me, that shows intent. That shows that he knows he's going to ask questions, bring things up, to get certain responses that he's going to want to have on the can, and just in case there's any type of response from them. Again, to me, it comes across as it's just really shady. And again, it's not a full-fledged defense of the Daily Wire, because there's stuff that they do and stuff that they don't cover. Some of the things their hosts do and don't cover that I have a problem with, right? Again, we could talk about their talking of the vaccine, and all that. But ultimately, to me, I think that in this specific situation, I think Crowder comes out looking the worst, personally. But that's just me.
Yeah, and an interesting thing about Crowder is that he tends, I think he actually records all of his phone calls, simply because like he has so many situations where people don't deal with him honestly and they try to like screw him over. Like with Ethan Klein, that was a big thing where Ethan Klein was supposed to come on his show and then tried to do a gotcha thing, and then Crowder just released like the phone calls they had that showed Ethan Klein was just an ass. Real quick before we get to Sean, we got some super chats we need to address from Bob Dorsey, member of the $100 Club, $40 regarding the recording after the Vox adpocalypse. Crowder would be stupid not to. The Daily Wire lowballed a friend with predatory practices by being in bed with YouTube. When has Daily Wire been channel struck last?
Yeah, great point, Bob.
It's
From
true.
what I understand, they actually
It is true.
get struck a lot, but they have a direct line to YouTube, so they're able to like smooth that over.
But also, they made this offer knowing he was already demonetized. That's the thing that people I don't think are truly understanding, is that would only be a deduction from his fee if he was demonetized after the fact. So they offered that with the knowledge that YouTube was not a part of it, right? YouTube's listed because as a contract, it just has to cover all those different bases. So
Well,
that's just one of those interesting points to me.
If you notice, it's not just demonetization, but it's also deplatforming. So the idea was that he's already demonetized, but if he were to get banned from YouTube completely, where they can't use that as a distribution channel anymore, that's when the minus 20%.
Only after 90 days if they can't replace it with something else. That's a very again long time, 3 months
It's
to
not
replace
that
it with
long,
something
though.
else.
No, it's not that long.
And if he loses up to 50% of his sponsors, and then like if they can't replace it within 90, I mean,
a man that
there are
has
certain
2
things in there.
sponsors a year can lose 1 sponsor, and that would be 50% though.
But here's the thing though, right? So like basically, all these things were negotiable. These were just like opening salvos from Jewish lawyers from California who come in very low ball, and they were like, "Oh,
Super low ball.
He's going to talk it up." He like they were willing to like give on some of these things, but Crowder was like take it or leave it type guy, and it doesn't sound like he negotiated at all. So Sean, I want to get your take on this, because this is pure high school drama at this point, where like they're just like sniping at each other in public. It's almost like the East Coast West Coast rap battles of the 90s, in my opinion. And so like give us your take on this. Whose side are you on, and what do you think of this whole ordeal?
I mean, 2 things can be true at the same time. Of like, Crowder could have a principled view of the issues with their contract, and also the way that he chose to address that be kind of the worst possible way to further a conversation. Because if his goal is to change their practices, he chose to go to war with them. Are they suddenly going to change their mind now? No, you created a scenario where they just have to dig their feet in, where like there's no possible way that they're going to adjust their contracts. But a little point of reference, like people ask, I don't get into politics on my channel at all and intentionally try to escape into escapism, but I'm a grown up. I follow politics. I think both parties are pretty wacky as can be, and don't trust either one of them. So I'm deeply independent in my politics, but I try to follow things going on. It's tough for me to not view what Crowder did as very disingenuous and conniving. When if you've known someone for 10 years, they come to you, give you a contract that you think is a lowball, but also has serious issues in terms of ideologically speaking, it goes against what they're teaching or speaking what on. Your response after 10 years of having a friendship and going to them thinking, I want to work with these people, but he immediately fills in the gap between what he expected and what they delivered with suspicion, malice, and just hard goes against them. And, a month before a phone call registers stop Big Con or whatever, that it just doesn't, feels like suspicious behavior. It doesn't feel like normal these are my friends that I have rapport with. I care
It
about
wasn't
them. I
right
want
around the
best with-
corner, though, Sean. It was over a period of 6 months. It was 6 months of talking and back and forth. So everyone think this just happened and they immediately reacted. It was over a period of 6 months of them going back and forth.
No, but the
Consider that.
registration of the address was a month
The
before.
address happened a month and a half after the first contract. But then they didn't actually come out with anything for almost 6 months. That's a long time to sit there and marinate on frustration.
It wasn't 6 months. It was October, so it was close to like 4 months, I think.
Or
So,
4 months.
But I guess that's also to say that like the timeline as it seems to be presented, the responses don't see like a marinating frustration. Why I talked to a person I've known for 10 years. I have rapport with them. Like the way this is played out publicly, in kind of like when he puts out a video like, hey, I'm not going to name names, but everyone is like, I think we all know who you're talking about here. It doesn't have that air of pure intent. Not to say that doesn't have ideological truth in what he's doing. He chose a path though that closes conversations. It shuts down further growth there rather than opens the door. Like you think, like he's frustrated with them and says like, hey guys, why don't we do a public discussion of this? Like I deeply disagree with what your contracts look like. Let's have two people that are friends, have very deep convictions about these things. Like, here's my ideological perspective. Here's your business perspective. Let's have a conversation and see what comes of it. Or the way this actually played out, which feels like that the high school drama. It feels petty. It doesn't look good for anyone. I don't see how there's a win for anyone out of this. No one
Agreed.
comes out ahead because everyone looks bad. That's where it feels like he could have like. There's a lot of points he's making about the nature of their contracts, demonetization, what you get dinged for, causing you not be able to talk about things. There's a lot of valid points in that.
Yeah.
The way that this is playing out, I don't feel like it's going to help anyone.
But the weird thing is that so Crowder kind of pioneered the screw YouTube segment where basically he was like, okay, we're going to play YouTube's game. We're not going to say anything that's going to get us deplatformed. But if you go to the members only segment of the show where we can say anything we want, that is, that's where we're free to go, and you have to pay for that privilege. And so like
Isn't
he's
he then
basically
playing the game? Is it
Exactly.
is he in bed with big tech then, since he's following YouTube's rules?
No,
Hold on.
There's a take here that needs to be said.
Yeah, hold on. We'll get to you in a sec, Brian. But the idea here is that basically he's criticizing the Daily Wire business model and saying that they need to change their business model, even though it's super successful and you need to have money to do the type of stuff that Daily Wire is doing. But he's also criticizing them for doing the exact same thing, or asking him to do the same thing that he's already doing, which is playing into YouTube's terms and conditions. Before we get to Brian, because I know Brian has a lot of stuff to say about this, I just want to get to two super chats real quick. We got Shorty Short for $1.99, 50 million including cost of production plus lost merch. So it works out to about 12.5 million a year, and the cost of his production is kind of like bundled into that. But that was an opening negotiation. I think that he probably could have gotten more. And then Art to the Icky for $4.99. All this Crowder Daily Wire stuff has shown me is that every big name political commentator is grifting at their own angle, just the name of the game. That's not wrong. Mm-hmm. All right, Brian, you have a lot you obviously need to say about this. So why don't you go ahead and say it?
I'm not even that passionate about this, but the thing is, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat talk about $50 million, a lot of money. Well, Crowder isn't getting $50 million. Okay. Crowder's business would be getting $50 million over 4 years, $12.5 million a year, $1 million basically a month for rent, staff, production, Crowder himself, internet, all the costs associated with that. Crowder, and I understand it's initial offer, but knowing someone for 10 years and knowing the juggernaut that is Crowder in that space, and then offering them cost, because that's what they were offering them. Their offer, knowing I've known you for 10 years. Yeah, we're big boys. Here, little boy, here's cost. Come on and work this out. Now I understand it's initial offer. Well, if he did counter with an offer and they just flat out refused and then ghosted us, we're not gonna be able to work together kind of nonsense. I can see how Crowder would be very frustrated with people he thought he was friends who pretty much disrespected him with an offer, and then decided that they couldn't even respond to his counter. Right? Imagine if that happened. Let's say,
like, Brian, why are you lowballing me, man? We've known each other for a decade.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, we know each other for a decade. Wait, what are you doing?
Come on, man.
This is pretty much cost. You're asking me to work for cost, right?
Yeah.
There are so many YouTubers and influencers that we don't even know about that are on the Daily Wire's payroll, and that's fine. Not hating the player here, but Daily Wire, it's a business they're running. Someone said in the comments, when's the last time they got a strike? Someone, Matt said, well, they probably have a direct line to YouTube. Why would they have a direct line to YouTube, but not Crowder, who's 7 million, who's above them in subscribers and content? What about other people that get strikes that have more subs, more followers, more views than Daily Wire? I don't believe they do have a direct line. I believe that they very, very carefully toe the company line and take care of themselves.
Ben Shapiro has publicly said they have a direct line to YouTube, and they actually called up Wachowski directly to help save Crowder's channel when he was getting deplatformed.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't say he called her up directly. He said he
did.
Yeah,
no,
that
he did.
was that.
He said
word.
he called Susan on her cell phone.
No. He said he called, and then I don't think he said he called her directly, but that he called and that he got a direct line to her. So through the process of calling their contact, they were able to actually talk with her.
It's not sketch at all that Daily Wire is able to have a conversation with the CEO of YouTube. No big deal.
A massive multi-million-dollar corporation company.
Other massive $1 million corporations on YouTube that have way more followers and way more views and way more subs have zero contact with YouTube and get striked all the time.
I wonder if he could call Lucasfilm and talk to Kathy about something.
The thing is, I feel like Crowder here I think Daily Wire was trying to get over on Crowder. Yeah, it's initial offer. He can counter. Well, he did counter. And when he countered, they go, all right. I mean, is he not a huge place? Yeah, he's not monetized on YouTube, but he does have, let's say, 300,000 Mug Club members ready to sign up again. Well, that's a lot of money per year. So he's asking for $30 million a year. Well, there's your $30 million in the initial Mug Club offering, outside of Facebook, outside of YouTube, outside of Twitter, outside of every other platform they plan to monetize him on. And then they also ask him, film every single day. When you can't film 2 and we'll air it. That's not his model. That's not remotely his model. That's not how it works. Oh, and then create features for me once a year. And the terms were just silly. I think what happened was he countered and they said, this isn't going to work. And so Boring's entire video is disingenuous when he keeps bringing up $50 million like it's a lot of money, because it's a lot of money to us. Listen, I'll sell out for $50 Walmart gift card. But most people look at that money, that number, and they think that's a lot of money. Why is Crowder crying? Once Crowder's cost is done, the guy's making like $15,000 a month.
Plus, he's got a staff of 30 people or probably more that he has to take care of. And
right. Yeah, it's a silly number. They should have been a little more respectful of a guy who has a much larger following than they do.
So it's about the money.
But
so you think it's about the money for him?
I think it started about the money. I think that when he countered and they ghosted him on the offer and said, we're not going to work together, I think he was insulted. And it probably happened with more than just Daily Wire. It was probably 3 or 4 other companies that did the same thing. I think that everyone's saying, we knew it was Daily Wire. I didn't know it was Daily Wire. I said there's 4 companies it could be. Daily Wire, Fox, Blaze. I mean, there's a couple other conservative companies.
As soon as they mentioned the ad reads, there was only one company it could have been.
Yeah.
That's true. The ad reads was this one.
On top of all this other stuff, right? Isn't his overall thing going forward to where all of these conservative cited whatever websites and companies, he doesn't want them to be beholden to big tech, right? I mean, why should we all be beholden to Google and YouTube when they can change the monetization rules like that on a whim whenever they want? You know, and that's how I kind of took his whole thing here. And I admit, I'm not a huge Crowder guy. I'm not a huge Daily Wire guy. I don't really watch either one of them a whole lot. But I feel like Crowder's thing in the end was we need to come up with a thing to where we're not so beholden to the whims of the left-leaning tech industry,
which he can do.
You know, so if he's trying to like get him to make a new model, I don't have a huge issue with that. But I mean, yeah, the way this whole thing's gone about has been kind of crappy. But I kind of feel like I sort of understand what Crowder's trying to do with his long game here, maybe.
Maybe with long game. I don't like the recording. That was like.
Yeah, that was crappy.
Yeah.
I won't record any of you guys if you call me. Okay, I promise.
Thank you.
I'm recording everyone.
Yeah,
Are you recording this right now? Is anyone watching this right now?
I think we've got our biggest group ever, 115 ever. You're a celebrity, Sean. You're bringing them in for us.
Yeah, because I think
Awesome.
he mentioned too that he doesn't record every call, but he's only recorded 3 calls in his life. So it's like that's what's weird to me, because it's like if the other one was Ethan Klein, it's like someone that you have no reason to trust. The fact that like a friend is now in that list of the very small amount,
It was definitely Jeremy from the quartering.
Real quick,
yeah, go ahead.
we got a $10 super chat from Joker Voice. Both talk about taking over the culture. Daily Wire going as far as saying they want to compete with Disney. I don't want Daily Wire controlling culture any more than Disney or AOC.
Truth.
Keep talking.
That's true.
Yeah,
I get it.
So my take on this, I'm actually falling on the side of Daily Wire, and I'm gonna go for the reasons why. So first of all, anyone who's ever entered into any type of contract negotiation in the entertainment industry knows that what the Daily Wire did is not scuzzy. That's how business is done, right? You come in at the lowest lowball offer with the most restrictions, and you expect people to fight back. In fact, Candace Owens, when she was on Tim Pool's IRL, she even said, it's like they tried the same thing with me, but I came back and I said, you know, like, this is what I want. And inch by inch, we ended up meeting in the middle, and both people were both happy and unhappy at the end of the negotiations.
Pause right on there. I watched Jordan Peterson's daughter's video about this. She said they negotiated for 5 months. Like the first offer, they were like, oh, no, of course we can't do this. And it was 5 months of intense back and forths to get a contract that everybody liked. 5 months.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things about Daily Wire, so Daily Wire, just last year in 2022, they hit $100 million in revenue. So that's profit, right? So they're a $100 million profitable company. I don't know like how much was deducted from like their operating expenses or what have you, but they have like 400 something employees. Their headquarters is based in Tennessee, I believe. Ben Shapiro operates out of Florida, so they have like a Florida office and stuff like that. And Crowder, I believe, is operating out of Texas, but they're a much bigger organization. They actually have different talent that are producing shows simultaneously. I think they have like 8 hosts, each doing their own show. They're in film production. They're doing documentaries. They're all over social media. They have departments just dedicated to running each show's social media accounts, getting exposure that way, building their brand, building their shows, and earning revenue. And so like, and also in terms of like their causes, their legal fees are quite big because like they're paying to like they challenge the vax mandates for like, you know, the small businesses and all that stuff
to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have been able to do that if they weren't profitable, right? So like their whole thing is like, look, we're just as ideological as Crowder is, but we're not able to, you know, fight the good fight if we're not making money. And you know, looking, you know, sitting through Jeremy's hour-long breakdown of that contract, I was like, there's nothing in here that is inherently bad from a purely pragmatic business point. Like I could totally see where he was coming from with giving these terms to Crowder and expecting him to come back and renegotiate. And, you know, $50 million for a company that only makes $100 million in profit, that's like half their revenue, right? So, and even if they were telling him to make it at cost, you know, for like 50 million over the course of 4 years, he's still making his Mug Club money, right? On top of that. So it's not like he's not going to be profitable. He's still going to be doing these things. And in fact, it's one of those things where because...
Wait. I'm sorry. Like, what do you mean he's making his mug
I
club
thought you
money?
said the Blaze made the
Yeah.
Mug Club money.
Blaze is taking that, and Daily Wire would have been taking the mug club money. They're paying
He's
him.
relaunching his mug club. So any new subscribers he gets to mug club, like, Daily Wire is probably going to be getting a smaller percentage of that.
No, they would have been getting the
he-
whole thing, bro.
No,
Yeah, they would have been taking his
they would have gotten the Daily Wire Plus subscribers, but mug club would have been separate from that.
No, it was part of it. The mug club
No.
would have gone show
There was
on
nothing
YouTube.
in there specific to that,
Exactly.
even in the initial offer, let alone.
Yeah,
He would have been doing his mug club segment on Daily Wire. It would have been a Daily Wire subscription.
it would have been behind the paywall, but he would have been getting cuts of that money. It
That's
wouldn't
not what the
all be going
contract.
to
That's not what
Daily
the
Wire.
offer said.
Well, from my understanding, that's what it was. It wouldn't have been worse than what he was doing with Blaze TV. So the idea here is that also Daily Wire. So because Crowder's a smaller, like I think he employs something like 60 people or something like that.
I think it's like 30.
30, okay. He doesn't have a marketing arm, right? Like he's not all over social media. He's not running YouTube ads, like he basically just relies on word of mouth to get his audience. Whereas Daily Wire has like an inherent marketing company that, within it that will go out and promote these things and grow them and make them even more profitable. And so like the idea that they have control over his social media accounts, it's not his personal Twitter account, it's not his personal Instagram account, but like they want to be able to use his social media accounts to grow his show. And so like it makes sense to me that they would want control of that kind of like layered in. And so like none of the things that I saw in that contract breakdown from Jeremy Boring were red flags. And I think that for Crowder to demand that entire business models be changed because it doesn't line up with his personal belief system is a little bit unrealistic. Like he could have been like, let's baby step it instead of like, let's burn the whole thing down and build it from fresh. And so like I think that he's being really irresponsible at this point where I know he didn't mention Daily Wire by name, but now that they kind of came out and said like full transparency, here's what we're doing. And he's like, okay, here's this phone call I recorded. He's coming off worse. And I know that he's going to be on Tim Pool on Monday to kind of like share his point of view on this stuff. I think that Tim Pool should ask Ben Shapiro to come on at the same time and have them actually have a conversation with each other.
Oh
Can
my
you
God,
guys,
that'd be great.
Can you guys just hug it out? Like kiss
Hey,
a little
guys.
bit.
Before
Just a
we
little
start,
bit.
I want you guys to hug it out. Take your shirts off and hug.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Get
I
the photographer
honestly
in.
I honestly think that Crowder's in the wrong on this, and the way he handled it was just wrong. Because if you go to stopbigcon.com, what does it go to? It just goes to a Mug Club newsletter sign up page. And Ben Shapiro has flat out accused him of creating this controversy just to build his email list because the Blaze screwed him over in terms of like the ownership
Also,
and contact.
he now has 2 separate pages for email for collecting emails because last I checked, he still has the Mug Club
Mug
site
Club Forever,
that was
yeah.
meant to Mug Club Forever. So that's the other reason why to me it's sketch. It's because why would you need 2 website listings? I guess the first one theoretically could be to try to get a list of names, so that way you have a number to shop around to say, hey, here's the amount of people that I know of that I could bring to your platform. But like, why would you create a second? Like, that's why to me, I agree with you, Matthew. It comes across just as a bit, to me, it's like I'm gonna burn this bridge and burn this down so that I can then build my own thing. And it's like,
also
why not just build it and just not attack a group that's doing a lot of good stuff in the
to
world.
Brian's point about like the other outlets, so like Fox News won't work with Crowder anymore. He burned that bridge a long time ago. The Blaze is off the table. A lot of the other smaller ones like Prager University, they can't give him like the type of money he wants. Newsmax and Eon or like whatever those things are.
Aeon, yeah.
Aeon, like they're not gonna give him like like $30 million a year. So like the fact that the Daily Wire was willing to negotiate with him and he basically burned that bridge, I think that he saw that his only option is really to do the Tim Pool route and run his own business, like start his own network type thing. And so like it could be argued that this is a play to gain publicity, create a movement around his new philosophy to try to help launch his new network. And if that's the case, it's really scuzzy. It's really scuzzy what he's doing. I'm a big fan of Steven Crowder. I watch his show all the time when he's on. He's been really like kind of erratic with it lately. But I also watch Daily Wire stuff all the time. So I found this whole thing very fascinating, the way that they were interacting with one another. But I really do think that there is a clear winner and loser here. And I think the loser is Crowder, actually.
Yeah.
So
But the winner, I would say, is not Daily Wire. I would say
it's all of us.
The only
it's the YouTubers.
no, within the organization, the only true winner is Andrew Klavan, because everyone typically comes together to say, "Oh yeah, I like that guy.
I like Andrew
Yeah,
Klavan.
Andrew Klavan's cool. You know what? Yeah,
He's the
Danny
only
Wright-
winner in all of this."
Yeah, I agree. Andrew Klavan came out as great. He had a great take. He loves everyone. Danny Wright on the chat said, "Let DW and Crowder split the money, the DW plus money. Crowder gets all of his sources." That's what the deal should have been. The deal should have been, "Hey, I need to place for Mud Club. Can I host my members section, my Mud Club section on DW? It'll add to your subscription. Cool. We'll split the sub costs. Share with me the contact list, and then just move on." It should have been as simple as that. It shouldn't have been, "Let me buy your show for 4 years," or it got so complicated so quick. It really should have been exactly that. Hey, just split the membership money, and then no one's worried about what content he's creating or who has to control what social media site or what feature he has to make or any of that nonsense. Just split the money, and then Crowder can work his butt off to make sure he gets as many subscribers as he can to that platform.
It's like nobody wants to lose control of what is theirs, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah. That's it. Imagine if Nerdrotic came and said, "Listen, Popcast, you guys are only 110,000 subs, so come on. We're gonna give you a Taco Bell gift card."
Yeah.
And
Well, speaking of Nerdrotic, does anyone know what Quarter Black's stance on this is?
haven't
Have
seen
we
it.
heard from him?
Well, he was on the FNT
He
last
was-
night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't watched that yet though. But
Yeah,
what do you say?
I mean, I think it's essentially more of the like, this is stupid. Like, I think and I quote, "It's this whole thing's gay." That's what he said. He said this whole thing's gay.
So we can say that because Brian's on the panel.
that's correct.
And I was quoting, by the way, I was quoting someone
Yes,
else
he's
too.
quoting
He
someone.
was quoting double
yeah.
protection.
But you know what's interesting is, so like I watched Lauren Chen's video on this, and she did mention that there was like an issue with Not Gay Jared and some other guys who used to work for Crowder ended up leaving. And there's a lot of rumors that basically Crowder is like a nightmare to work with. He's kind of like a diva, which I could kind of see, I guess. But like I could also just see him being so hardline with his beliefs that he just doesn't bend,
Yeah.
So like it'd be interesting to hear Quarter Black's take on it, simply because like he worked with the guy.
Well,
He still does. Though.
that's the big
They
question.
They still do. Don't they still do like shorts and all that?
Yeah. They're still friendly with each other. But it's like, to me though, the person, like, because if all of this is supposed to be leading up to like who's the good person, and if anyone still honestly does believe that Crowder is the good person in this, I would just ask one question. Okay, so then why does he not lift the NDA on Not Gay Jared?
Oh, I mean, there
I'll just
could
say
be
that.
so many reasons for that, though.
But still, if if he's the knight in shining armor, you gotta.
The Not Gay Jared thing was so long ago, like that.
Yeah,
I
and he
don't know.
still can't talk. He still can't say anything.
Right, and so he didn't have to. He wasn't forced at gunpoint to sign an NDA, though. Right, he was probably paid for that NDA.
I don't know. Crowder does have a gun right on his desk.
He does have a gun.
That might
And
Did
set
he
him as
frequently have one
sponsor,
on
so-
him while he's filming?
I've signed NDAs from Paramount and other places, and I gotta tell you, I'm signing the NDA because I was getting something in return
Yeah.
for my NDA. It wasn't like sign this NDA or else.
Well, it's like
So-
signing a contract. You're getting something in return too. That's
Right.
all I'm saying. Is like, if we're
And
gonna talk about
the
scuzziness,
NDA
I
might have
think,
been a non-compete too, though, bro. It might have been also a non-compete because at the time Crowder had built him up, built this guy's show up, and then whatever reason they split.
We have a lot of people here to hear what Sean has to say. Sean,
Oh yeah,
Whose side are you on?
Hey,
Whose side are
everybody.
you on?
I mean, kind of as I said before, I just don't think there's a like you can look at it and very easily see how they're ideologically the Daily Wire probably needs to rethink some stuff in their contracts in light of like, wait a minute, if you're penalizing your host for getting demonetized, like you should probably really think about that, what that means in terms of what people will and won't say, self-censoring before they talk about subjects, especially if you're talking about free speech and things like that. You need to change that. But I just cannot look at the timeline of this, the tone, the manner, recording phone calls, and Crowder said so many times in the videos, but this is not about money. This is not about money. This is not about money. But then, kind of even the things that Brian discussed, it was money. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like he was offended at a lowball offer, and then he spun that like these are communicators for a living. They build up ideas, narrative, like that's what they do. And so then stop Big Con. So all of a sudden it's ideological when it's like, it seems like you're offended that they gave you an offer that was just production cost and some other things. But I don't know. It's just tough to see pure motives in all of that. And it's just like such a harsh turn from we've been friends. And I get, did I hear that Crowder was on the Daily Wire mid-November, right around the election?
Yeah.
After, a month after this contract was sent, and there was some back and forth.
Well, no, he called in. He called in the
Right. He called, but
Still,
there
but
was
he was
some
on it.
affiliation. He was there was
Yeah.
some positive, like
I
They
saw
were
that
each-
stream.
They were each part of their election coverage.
Yeah.
So I didn't see it. It's just in one of the videos that I watched that there was a mention of that, so I don't even know what extent it
Andrew
was. But there
Clayton
was,
looks so uncomfortable. He's like,
but so anyway, it feels like a disingenuous side to it. That's like, it's not wanting to pick a side. I don't think there's the winner. I'm pro these guys, but I would say that Crowder's the person that looks the worst.
Yeah,
And-
and
and-
what's weird about Crowder is, so like his first video when he launched this whole thing, it was about how like big conservative companies are in the pockets of big tech and we need to change the culture in order to win the war. And then his second video, his response to Jeremy Borings he's like, look, I don't care about me. I just want to make sure that future content creators aren't affected by this whole thing. So he's instantly like reframing it as he's trying to protect people as opposed to like create like a new movement, which was like the topic of his first video. But if you look at Brett Cooper, the young actress who was signed to the Daily Wire, and she's blown up because the Daily Wire's marketing machine got her all over TikTok, got her all over YouTube.
yeah.
And she's quite talented, but she's like the young conservative upcoming content creator at the Daily Wire. And it was Crowder was kind of implying that she was being taken advantage of by predatory contract practices, but like nobody knew who Brett Cooper was until she was signed with the Daily Wire. I mean, she'd been in like a couple like Disney shows or something like that, but then like she comes over here and now like she's like a superstar over there, and she's all over TikTok, and she's reaching like younger audiences that are bringing them into the Daily Wire ecosystem. And the Daily Wire went and upped her contract, like start paying her more money because she was performing way better than they thought she would. And so like I think that there's something to be said about like companies that have like certain core values where like they're not out to screw people over. They're out to basically reward success and penalize things. I think a lot of the stuff in Crowder's contract was basically like, if he chooses to stop making shows, we're not going to keep paying him, right? It's not so much that he gets hit by a car and he's unable to do that. It's that like if he wants to pull a stunt and hold out for more money by refusing to create content that's agreed upon, then we're not going to continue to pay him the agreed upon amount. I got the feeling
even to that point, like in Crowder's interpretation of that, it was the least generous interpretation possible of what that line in the contract meant. It was like assuming the worst, that these scoundrels are just trying to find a reason to not pay me, as opposed to like a reasonable expectation. That's the stuff that just played very weird to me in his time.
I mean, but it goes against the style of his show, right? His daily show is not really a daily show. They do so much. Their entire show is so different than the standard run of talent that DW is signing.
Yep.
So asking him to change his entire model is silly. I do believe that Denny Wright in the chat was right. It should have just been like, here, take a cut of the DW Plus subscribers and don't touch anything else. It should have been an independent dude that's bringing subs to DW. So the
Well,
offer
apparently-
was garbage.
That's what
But I
apparently
mean-
it was at first. At first, apparently it was they were trying to do they were trying to do, I forget what it's called, but they were trying to do basically something a joint venture. That's what I'm looking for.
Venture.
Initially, they were trying to do a joint venture, and then that didn't work, and so then that's when they realized that they had to actually offer a contract.
And Crowder also, he switches things up depending on like the circumstances. So for instance, when he can't do a show, he has Dave sit in, his co-host sit in and host the show, or has someone else come in and sit in his seat and host the show. And so like if there was a situation where like he wasn't able to produce the show, like in the contract, it doesn't stipulate that he has to be the one to produce it. It's just that the show has to be made, and so he could have other people step in and create the content. He could do bank content. There was all types of things that Boring explained in his response video that made perfectly logical sense, that completely negated how Crowder explained things. And Crowder was very selective in how he seemed to, cherry pick things from the contract and be like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Because how many shows did he do last year? Does anyone actually have a number on
I
how
don't know.
many
He was
shows
all over
did?
the place. So like
He
he
was
does
all over the
shows
place.
Monday through, he does shows Monday through Thursday. He takes Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday, and Sunday off. He also tours a lot, going to like his comic tours with Dave Landau
Yeah.
and doing his Change My Mind stuff. So like
I'd be
you know,
interested to
he's-
see how close it was. Like how many shows he did last couple calendar years versus how much was being asked. Because I think that's also relevant.
Yeah, Vader,
probably
is there
way
something
off.
wanted to say?
In the end, I just have my people look over contracts and then I sign them if they say it's okay. But reality, I mean, all I see is millionaires fighting with millionaires over millions of dollars. I don't honestly give a shit about a lot of this stuff. And you guys are boring me to death with this hour-long
Yeah.
conversation.
Let me ask Sean something real quick. What if Nerdrotic came to you and said, "We'll pay you $1 million a year to join our network, but if you get canceled, you owe us money"? Would you take that deal?
That's so tricky because you ask, like, hey, this guy that has a much larger audience than me comes to me offering me a bunch of money. He's the one that's going to get canceled, not me. I haven't even thought about anything in that ballpark. I very much like having no boss. I like the absolute freedom. So I there's nothing appealing to me about working for anyone. So and I've actively stayed away from being too much associated with anyone that's kind of fighting culture wars because it's not what I'm into. I like the side to it that's fun. It's getting tougher to do that where you can't even do a Scooby-Doo adaptation without it being whatever Velma is.
Dude, it's so bad.
I watched
so
the last
bad.
episode last night. I loved it, you guys. I loved it.
Shut up.
It was
Well,
amazing.
you're the queer representation on the panel, Brian.
It was amazing watching two teenage girls, cartoon girls, make out. It's the weirdest thing. The whole show is just crazy weird.
Derailed.
Sorry, Sean.
but like I like working for myself, so there's not much monetary incentive to have a boss. Like it would have to be something wild for me to have a boss. And as soon as you say someone that's like Nerdrotic, that's like, whoa, that association puts so many targets on me that I don't want.
Is that right, Odin?
Yeah, Odin's on his show with Nerd, right?
Odin doesn't even get paid for it.
He doesn't even get paid for it.
Brave, you are very brave.
I took as I said last night, I claimed religious exemption from having to watch that show. So.
That is hilarious, man. I'm with you, Sean. I would rather, and I do. I work for myself in my day job, and my brother and I partner for ourselves, on YouTube, and I joke around and say my price is much lower than $50 million. I'll take Walmart gift card, but in reality, it's not just about the money when you work for yourself. A lot of it is about the freedom to make your own decisions, to control your own time, to control your own ceiling. Like when you work for someone, this is how much money you make, period, the end, right? When you work for yourself, you're probably making less, but you can make a lot more. And you control that enthusiasm, how much you put into it, how much risk you take, etc. And the reason you're rewarded for that risk, either you're rewarded or not, depending on your luck or your skill, is because you are the one fronting all the costs for that. Not just money, but the risk, the time, effort, and everything. So I would rather work for myself someone else. So if someone would have to offer me 3-4 times more than what I'm making on, in my
Right.
business or on YouTube now, for me to even consider it, because my time and my freedom is worth at least 3 or 4 times more than what I'm making now.
That's to me what makes some of this so strange. Of like, Crowder has 6 million, 7 million YouTube subscribers. Theoretically, could get 300,000 Mug Club subscribers worth 40 million. Why doesn't he just should just be independent? That's
Just
what I don't
start his own
understand.
thing,
Just do his own thing. So that's where once again, it kind of seems disingenuous and weird that he's even entertaining offers. Work for yourself. Clearly that's what you want to do. Clearly that's what you'd be good at doing. So
I mean,
that's another one. It's just so odd to me.
Clearly, what's going on here is nobody's talking about anything but Daily Wire and Crowder right now.
Well, hold on before we move on, Vader.
There can't be any. Is there bad publicity? I mean,
Yeah. There's no such thing as bad
Hey,
publicity.
really?
but-
I haven't been
but-
served a
but
Ben
to-
Shapiro video in years, and I
But
saw
to-
one last night.
to Sean's point, so basically, I think the issue here is that, and this is an aspect of the story no one's talking about really, is that Glenn Beck is actively screwing over Crowder right now. He doesn't have access to all of his Mug Club members.
Oh my
And if
God, that's a great point, Matt.
And if he doesn't, and if he pisses off the Blaze, they could just say, "We're keeping all the money, we're keeping all the subscribers." I think at this point, Crowder is being held hostage because, he relies on that money to stay independent, but he doesn't have access to the email list. He doesn't have access to the full amount because it's all Blaze signups. He was basically just a glorified affiliate for the Blaze,
Right.
and so if he were to piss off the Blaze, all that independent $40 million a year money goes away, and he has no recourse for that.
And that's just burning all the bridges he possibly had left.
Yeah, and I think he's so frustrated with Glenn Beck and the Blaze that he's taken it out on the Daily Wire because he got kind of screwed over on
Dude,
that.
I think you're right. I
think time will tell
That's a good
ultimately
point.
with
He's
that,
probably extremely upset with Blaze, and then he goes to his buddies of 10 years, and he's like, "Look, I want to get Mug Club on a different platform. You guys have a great model set up already." And then they give him this super lowball offer, and then ghost him. He's probably infuriated with all of his friends right now. Consider that for a minute.
The thing is that they didn't ghost him, Brian.
Yeah.
They came to an agreement that this wasn't going to work, and then they moved on. And then 3 months later, Crowder comes out and starts attacking them. So it was kind of a weird thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I just find it odd that there was no communication during that time. And when he
November
did
there
counter,
was, because they were on each other's show. So
well, no. That call, did you see that call in live? On each other's shows is a very generous.
Yeah, but I mean,
interpretation of that.
there's communication building up to being on each other's shows and stuff like that. Real quick, we got a super chat from our $100 club member Bob Dorsey, also our #1 super chatter. Bob Dorsey for $20. With respect, guys, you can't complain about you won't record friends because they are friends, then justify low negotiations because that's business. They're either friends or they aren't. I think Crowder actually said something kind of interesting the other day. I forget where I heard this, so it might not be Crowder, but he said, "No one who's ever doing the right thing ever tells you it's just business." Right? So whenever you hear the excuse "oh, it's just business," it means that they know they're doing something wrong,
Right.
but they're justifying it.
Unless it's in professional wrestling.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's just business.
Just
Yeah,
business.
that's almost always what the bad guy says in a movie too. It's just business.
Just business.
Exactly.
Don't take it personal.
right.
It's just business.
All right, so we've tortured Sean long enough. Let's start talking about some movie stuff.
I think we tortured Matt too.
Yeah. Well, I
Hey,
torture
man.
Matt every day, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to he's gonna give me all my phone call recordings very soon. Remember when you said this? Nope. Well, hold on.
Recording every phone call. All the anime phone calls.
But Sean was like, "You told me we'd be talking about movies, so let's talk about the."
And you see, I saw the thumbnail. It's like, oh dear, what are you doing?
Dear God.
I am enjoying some of the chats. You're like, man, I can't believe Sean is on this channel.
I didn't know what I was signing up for.
Yeah. So, Escape from
Sean's
New York
frozen.
is
Yeah.
getting a reboot, and there was an interesting article here from Bounding Into Comics where basically they talk to they highlight an interview that John Carpenter gave And for those of you who aren't up to date, basically, an Escape from New York remake has been in the pipeline for a number of years, I think almost a decade, and it keeps failing. But it looks like this latest incarnation is actually going to go forward, and it's with a team of directors as opposed to like one single director who's doing it. I believe it's called something like Radio Silence, who is responsible for the resurgence in the Scream franchise and all this other stuff. And they talked with John Carpenter, and John Carpenter basically is like, no one tells me anything. I don't know what the hell's going on. Last I heard, they were going to make Snake a chick, and that's the last I heard of it. And even though he's supposedly an executive producer on it, yeah. So so basically, John Carpenter has no idea what's going on. He just knows that last he heard that there was some gender swap talk going on there. There was also talk about possibly casting Wyatt Russell as the new Snake Plissken. And so there's some weird stuff coming out also that it's not like a remake, but like a weird type of sequel where Snake gets replaced by a younger renegade type guy or girl. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, but basically... it's going to be set in the Escape universe. I just found it funny reading through this article that John Carpenter is just like, I don't know what's going on. Nobody tells me anything. I feel like that happens a lot with every single John Carpenter remake. Sean, what's your take on this? Do you think that Escape from New York needs to be remade? And what do you think is going to be the final product with all these rumors flying around about how it's going to be a sequel or a reboot or whatever?
I mean, it's Escape from New York. It's such a simple, basic premise. Why is this the property that's taking 1,000 years to not get made? I mean, Gerard Butler was going to be in it, and Leigh Whannell was going to write and direct it. Like, they're going through so many different versions. The plot is the same in all of these. Some important person is in this prison city, and you send in your anti-hero who's forced to go get them, and action happens, and there's a little bit of social commentary, social satire. This is not complex. Why on earth is this taking so long to get made?
There's zombies.
Oh, well, even right there, we like me and you. We could go for a weekend. We could write it and make that happen.
That's true.
Like we could do this. And they just keep saying things, and every new thing they say sounds weirder and stranger. It's like, oh, this time we're going to gender swap Snake. Like, right. I mean, what a clever idea. I'm glad. Where did you come up with that one, Hollywood? And then they keep going down the path like, well, it's not actually a remake. It's like a sequel set in the same universe. Oh, wow. Hollywood. Well, where'd you come up with that idea? Yeah, it's it's every single bag of tricks for every one of these legacy sequel remake things. As you're reading the article, it's every single cliche Hollywood remake prequel thing. Yeah. And it's Escape from freaking New York. There's nothing to like overthink here. Just do it. Like they were going to do it with Gerard Butler. Like, yeah, sure. He does action thrillers. I enjoy watching him shoot people in the face. He can be grumpy but charismatic. Sure, let's do it. Nope, that didn't happen. So and then like Leigh Whannell, like, oh sure, I think he like Upgrade. That movie was awesome. Let's get him to it. Nope, that's not happening. I just don't like. Just do it. Just freaking pull the trigger and do it.
Yeah.
Sean, I want to point out that we've already had an Escape from New York remake with a female Snake Plissken. It was called Doomsday.
That was pretty good.
Has anyone seen Doomsday?
Yeah.
I have not seen that one. I know what you're talking about. There was what was the one with Guy Pearce that was a remake of Escape from New York, but it was in space?
it was the prison breakout movie.
We did that. Like what? This
Army
is
of the
not
Dead?
just do it. Yeah, right. Like
Escape from Las Vegas.
just do it. Just make it if you're gonna do it, or realize, yeah, it's a simple John Carpenter concept. You're not gonna beat Kurt Russell. Like remake it with Wyatt Russell. What's even the point? We're getting his freaking son to do it? Like, why are we even talking about this?
So Denny,
Like
right?
you're turning into Shia LaBeouf there.
Just do it.
Right. Just do it.
Make your dreams come true.
Denny, right? I want to point out that in Escape from L.A., Pam Grier played a black trans woman. So,
Of course, yeah. Hey, they were ahead of the
Fascinating.
time.
That was
Ahead of
awesome.
the time.
Just epic. One of the most memorable roles in movie history.
What happened? There was Escape from New York, Escape from L.A., right?
yeah.
So why don't
The
they just keep doing other
third
cities?
one was going to be Escape from Earth. but Escape from LA bombed so badly that they never got the funding for it.
Listen, man,
Odin.
that surfboard scene going down the side of the road was one of the most classic scenes ever put on film. Okay,
You're a
Steve
Kino.
So with
Buscemi's
Peter
acting,
Fonda,
acting where he's like,
that was great.
Odin, what's your take on this remake, reboot, sequel idea? And do you think they're going to actually gender swap Snake Plissken?
I do. It's just the nature of Hollywood today. It's just everything they do. Every time they have a remake or a reboot of any kind, it always goes down ideological or identitarian lines. Really, that's just like the name of the game. But it continues to show that how there's just the different eras in Hollywood, right? There is the era of the westerns, right, and the era of space sci-fi. Now it's like we're just in this era of sequel remake. We're out of ideas. We can't come up with our own, and it's been old for a long time now, but it's just like when you're in an era where it's bad movies that are being made, it's so insufferable because you're like, okay, when is this era gonna finally end? Is it ever going to end? And when is Hollywood just going to start actually coming up with ideas and actually start putting out good product, or at the very least putting money behind creators that actually can produce good product? Because every year there are good things that do come out, but unfortunately they just get so overshadowed by these massive blockbuster releases of nonsense.
Sean, I think John Malenko just came up with the perfect idea for a Escape from New York sequel. And it took him even less time than you and Vader and Brian did. So
let's just do it. Just greenlight it, make it happen. Why not?
Matt, why does John Carpenter keep getting shit on and he doesn't seem to care?
Because he's old and cranky, probably.
He's never not been old though. He's been old for like decades.
It's true. I guess so.
The permanent he was born old.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I mean, it is kind of funny. He's like, I don't know what's going on. Last I heard, they're gonna put Snake into a chick. I mean, it's like I was like, okay, cool story, man. That's the whole article. It's just like
during the interview, his wife came in and was like, "We got an email once." He's like, "See that? We got an email."
I do kind of want to see this made. We reviewed Escape from New York. It was one of the very first shows we did way back like 3 years ago on the podcast, and I think I said then, it's like, this is one of the few movies that I wouldn't mind seeing a remake done of, as long as they were respectful to the source material. So no, I don't want to see him do it with a girl. That would be stupid and ridiculous. But I would kind of like to see a modern, new version of this. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if I really do, because I don't have the faith in them that they can do it. What I would also like to see is maybe a third movie in the trilogy to see what Old Snake is up to. To see how he ends his story, that would be something like that would be cool.
Cool.
Maybe James Mangold can get a hold of it and
and make it a deconstruction of masculinity.
Yes,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So,
make it so he has to protect a young child.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, maybe his grandchildren or his grandchild.
Yeah, it's like his grandkid. Yeah.
See, we could just run off and write this. It would be incredible.
But she has an eye patch too. She has an eye patch.
But it has like a unicorn on it.
Yeah. Imagine think of the merch opportunities there. Children's unicorn eye patches.
Epic.
Sparkles.
It can be PG-13, so it goes to a broader audience. These ideas are great.
Yeah. Fathers and daughters, they can have matching eye patches. This could be a thing.
And the city that they are trapped in is an all-female city?
No, it's Las Vegas. They're trapped in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but you
just described Portland, Matt.
Yeah.
Also, no, that's not what they would do. It would be an all-white male city.
Yeah, somewhere like Ohio or whatever. Yeah.
And she has to face misogyny. She has to survive misogyny in order to get out.
Snake has to infiltrate the all-white male city.
Confederate flags everywhere. Right?
Everyone outside the prison cities is so diverse that they can't penetrate the white nationalist prison cities. All right.
And then they have the Trump 2020, the Trump 2016 like signs everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, is that the future? You have like Trump 3075.
This is the best prison city. We're gonna build a wall.
It's the greatest. Look at the walls.
keep
He
all
got
the riffraff out.
reelected, and he changed the law. He is now just in charge.
Once again, Sean is watching his sub count go down.
He's like, what happened? I logged in with 300,000 followers, and now I'm down to like 2.
What have I done? Just thought we were talking Escape from New York, and then this went down. Somehow Trump still made it in.
All right, real
We
quick.
gotta build a wall.
Real quick, we got Rebecca Spade for $5. Are Brian and Sean brothers? I swear I saw them on stream before screaming about the same thing.
We just met today.
Yep.
I mean, he
Yeah,
seems like a
so-
nice guy, but we're not brothers.
Well, I'm excited for this Escape from New York remake. Will gender swapped script we're going to write this next
Yeah.
weekend.
This is gonna be great. We gotta get
So,
together.
We're in
ASAP.
sync.
Yeah.
With zombies.
With
Gotta
zombies.
have zombies.
In
And
Portland.
Zack Snyder is already calling me about this
Yes.
right now.
Brian, real quick before we move on, any final thoughts on this topic?
I so badly want to see this now. I feel like what we've done here today has made this movie. No matter how it comes out, we have to all watch it now. However this works, it's going to be great. That's my final thought.
Snake, I love your tattoo. You're a man I feel I can trust.
I need you to go over the wall.
You're huge. You're huge here.
Yes.
Kansas
Huge.
City.
Oh my
Obama's
God.
head is stuck in the Library of Congress.
It'd be funny. It's Escape from Mar-a-Lago. He just like breaks.
Oh, there it is.
Steal classified documents from the former president.
I need to watch.
He's got to fight an army of the Trump Jr. clones. He's like, hey, oh, they're coming out of the basement.
Yeah. North Korea fires a nuke at us.
It's got to stop the nuke.
There's a giant 50-foot wall around Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, it's
Oh my God.
it's the Russians that inject Snake with like the slow acting virus.
Oh God!
It's like we're giving you the COVID variant X.
This is COVID 35.
It's a good brand.
All right, guys. So, real quick, this is for Joker in the chat. Hamill is done voicing the Joker. So with the passing of Kevin Conroy, unfortunately, Mark Hamill has come out publicly and said that he's not going to be doing the Joker voice anymore because those two were buddies, they were friends, and they were a dynamic duo. They were like Laurel and Hardy. And without Kevin, he just can't see himself doing Joker anymore. I found this kind of weird, though, because, like, didn't he retire, like, years ago from doing the Joker voice? Like, I think he came out publicly and said, I'm not doing it anymore. But real quick, before we get to thoughts on this, I just want to give a moment, about 18 seconds worth of Kevin Conroy.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. I am salty. I am a nerd. I am a salty nerd. And you're listening to the Salty Nerd Podcast. Stay salty, my friends.
R.I.P. Kevin
freaking
Conroy.
awesome.
Yeah,
was cool.
he was a legend in his own time. So, but what do you guys think of Hamill coming out and just saying, even though he's already retired from doing the Joker voice, that he's not going to do it anymore? Odin, what do you think?
I mean, I hope he holds to it because I think that you know, as crazy as he can be on a lot of things, I think that would be just, we need positive things like that, I guess. You know, as tragic, obviously, as losing someone is, for someone to retire on like those terms, it's a very, I think, a very nice and beautiful sentiment. So I really hope that he actually holds to it, and I hope that you don't see, like, in a year or two, money get offered his way because DC's still trying to figure out what the heck to do with their, with their worlds, and so they have to, try to bring him back or anything. So so it's I would say it's a very positive thing, and I really hope he sticks to it because hey, it's we don't see a lot of that. We don't see too much of that, I think, where people put those types of personal relationships ahead of career opportunities. So I really hope I hope it stays.
So, Sean, the last thing that Conroy and Hamill did together was the Killing Joke animated version. That got a lot of mixed reviews. It was unfortunate that was like their last collaboration together. What's your take on this? Do you think Hamill is completely done now that Conroy's out of the picture?
I think so. And I think that's right. And I don't know, there's some, in a kind of a weird way, there's something kind of, I don't know, sweet and wholesome about it from the Joker. But you know, I was like 11 when Batman the Animated Series came out, so I was the target audience, and that's still my favorite animated show of all time. I mean, it's just an incredible achievement, and that they've kind of stuck to these roles for so long that, you know, it's 30 years. That's pretty remarkable. And you know, you read those comments, and it's you kind of feel the end of an era and something really, really special in those performances. So, you know, that's Kevin Conroy's the voice of Batman in my head, and Hamill's the voice of the Joker. And it feels like this should be the end. And as you guys said, hopefully it is the end, and DC's not going to try and woo him back with money. But, you know, they haven't, you know, as you said, Killing Joke was like 4 or 5 years ago. That's a little bit. So I would guess that he probably is over with it.
Yeah, Brian, you know, one of the big demands for Joker and Batman voices are video games, and both Hamill and Conroy came back for the Arkham games. Do you think that Hamill's completely done with the character?
I think that he's done for a while. I do not think he's completely done. I played all the Arkham games. They're fun. That's it. Like, they were just like fun. The story was for me, a little weak. But
yeah,
the thing about actors is, and I agree with Odin, like, it's a great sentiment. I would like it if he really was just like, well, I'm retiring this character because my friend passed away. We were our team. You know, if Shane and I, my actual brother, sorry, Sean, are a team. He's the voice of our channel, right? Imagine if Shane passed away. Like, would I continue the podcast with like just another random dude? Probably not.
What about an AI voice that sounds just like Shane?
But see, I do have a giant library. I have hours and hours of Shane's voice, and I'm a programmer in my first job, so I can make that work. No, but I believe the way Hollywood works is in like 5 or 6 years or so, when DC is on its like third DC Studios co-president or whatever, and they're like, okay, we've tried the live action. We're gonna go full cartoon universe. And welcome back, Mark Hamill as a Joker, and it's going to be a big promotional thing. That is not something that can't happen. This is Hollywood. Some people retire all the time and then come back 10 years later. You know,
It's true.
Well, I don't think Hamill is hurting for money. But real quick, Matt Vader 74. So we know Joker voice, and if anyone could pull off a copy of what Hamill does, it's Joker. So I think that Hollywood should hire him if they want more.
Yeah, he
Joker
does pretty good Joker.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
Also, with the technology they have now, because this would be my other question, I guess, too, would be, would he ever sign off, you know, if he's going to step down, would he ever sign off on the studio basically trying to use some type of algorithm to replicate his voice, to like artificially replicate it so that it sounds like he's doing it, but in fact he's not?
You know what? They've already done it to him in Star Wars. They've used his face and stuff for in the Mandalorian and everything, right? That was all deep fake stuff.
Well, now they have these AI voice changers where you can actually like superimpose someone's voice on your own voice, so they could just hire like a different actor to do all the emoting and stuff like that, but use like his actual voice in it. Like, it's crazy what they're doing with AI nowadays. And speaking of AI, let's talk about the third Tron movie. So it was just announced on Deadline that Disney is moving forward with a third Tron movie called Tron Ares, which is going to star Jared Leto, unfortunately, and is being directed by Norwegian filmmaker Joachim Rønning. I don't know. I probably just butchered that name. But funny enough, Matt Vader, you want to tell the story about our little connection with the director Rønning in this movie?
We know a guy who knows him.
That's a great story.
Yeah,
great story, bro.
That's it, man.
Good story, bro.
Yeah, we have a source that knows the director of this movie. I mean, why do you do this to me? Why do you give me these things to work off of when I'm not prepared? It's like, hey, tell him a story about this tweet you got today. It's like, okay,
Shane does the same thing to me.
Yeah,
later.
we know a guy who knows him. He's gonna like let him know about our little show. It's like, okay.
Do you want to say who the guy is?
So we are good friends with the actor Corey Conradi. He played Orm in The Norseman. And he is friends apparently with this director. And he just said that he was going to let him know that we exist, and that's it. That's all there is to this story. It probably won't be anything. So I'm not sure why I'm telling everybody this, but okay, cool. Yeah, we got to end.
Well, thank you for that riveting tale, Vader. I really appreciate the support here.
I am quite taken back with your tale.
So Brian, I know that you really liked the second Tron movie, if memory serves.
I did.
What's your take on having a third in the series, and where do you think they're going to go with it?
All right, let's be clear. I am a massive Tron fan. My first introduction to science fiction as a child was Tron. My first introduction to video games as a child was Tron. Tron started my journey down this super sweaty nerd path that I'm on right now. And my favorite franchise of all time is Stargate. But that would be a different thing if Tron had gotten the same treatment that Stargate, Star Wars, and all these other franchises got. So when I saw the second one, I was fully prepared to hate it, because I thought there's no way they do this correctly with the de-aging and all that. But in my opinion, I believe that they pulled off a pretty good damn movie. And you're right, the goddamn soundtrack was so rock and roll. Mm-hmm. So I want to see a third movie. I want to see a third movie very badly. Now, do I want to see a third movie with Jared Leto?
They did say in the article that this is going to be a direct sequel to Tron Legacy.
That sounds awesome. Well, so what happened to the guy that was playing the main character in Tron Legacy? Did he die? Is he still alive?
They might bring him back. The only thing that he is I think he might be in Tulsa King. I don't remember. But the only thing that they've said about the movie so far is that Jared Leto has been cast. So Sean, why do people keep trying to make Jared Leto a thing? Why does Hollywood keep casting him? Because
that was my question to you. I don't understand. I think everyone saw the announcement like, oh, we're doing a Tron 3. Oh, finally. Wait, the guy that directed the last one just did Top Gun Maverick. Wait, it's starring Jared Leto?
Right.
What? No one saw Jared Leto was attached to this and went, this is better now. Wow, Jared Leto doing Tron. That's the partnership nobody thought that. Every single person went, seriously? This guy, how does he keep getting these franchises? What is going on here?
Yeah, I think I think it's kind of funny. I think Hollywood basically said Morbius was a cultural phenomenon that permeated every aspect of our fabric of society. We have to have the superstar Jared Leto in our third.
It's Leto.
Movie.
Goodness gracious, Gatish.
I know he's the murderer of names.
I am the destroyer of words. This is true.
I'm wondering if we know somebody who might know Jared Leto, so we might have an in.
He just said Leto.
Leto.
Well, Jared Leto is different from Jared Leto. He's actually like the guy who gets the craft services on this.
Why do we not like him? Is he not a good actor? I don't have
he's
any
a good
problems with
actor.
him.
Why does he have to be in
the roles? It's the roles he's taken.
Morbius was a modern day classic, guys.
There's something about Leto that I don't mind his music, but I feel like he's so forced when it comes to the acting gig. He's trying too hard to be a serious actor, and Hollywood keeps trying to push him as a leading man, and he's just not a leading man. He might be a good character supporting actor, but I don't see him as a leading guy.
Yeah.
Are people still mad about the tattoos in Suicide Squad? I don't get it.
Oh, I actually was so looking forward to that version of Joker. And
I was too.
Happened. Yeah.
The little bit that we got of him, I thought was
I
actually
hated it.
pretty good.
I felt like it could have gone somewhere really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Odin, do you think that this movie will do better than the second movie?
I don't. Again, it really depends. At this point, no. It depends on who else they're able to get, because the director does have some credits to his name, but I'm looking at the writer. The writer has nothing. The writer has written 4 movies in his life. The last one was back in 2015. The one that's best known is It Runs in the Family from 2003. So they're it seems like they're cheaping out on the writer here. The director has done a couple of things of at least some weight, but again, I wouldn't even necessarily say that they were all that impressive. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales. So yeah, I don't, because one of the reasons why I think Tron Legacy worked is because they were able to get, as you said, was it M83? Who did the soundtrack for them?
Oh, it was
Daft
Punk.
Daft Punk.
fire.
So that I think was a big part of it, and then also they got Joe Kosinski as the director, and they also got Joe Kosinski's director of photography. So they're not going to get that this time around, and so that's why I wasn't a big fan of Tron Legacy actually. I just, again, especially the whole de-aging thing just looked so Uncanny Valley was really bad with it. But in general, though, I don't think this one's going to work. Just based on what we have so far, it doesn't seem like a winner.
I'll just say this: it better have Jeff Bridges in it, because that man is a national treasure.
De-aged and old.
Well, deep faked nowadays, like when Tron Legacy came out, that was just at the forefront of and beginning of like the whole de-aging thing. Now that they're so good at it,
Yeah.
Real quick, we got a super chat from Scotty Dub, our $100 club member. Salty Saturdays always make my weekend, man. FYSA Kadish, I'm still lobbying to get you on Timcast IRL. Man, this will happen in 2023. I've tried reaching out to Timcast numerous times to get us, the Salty Nerd group, on there, because I think it'd be fun to talk about the culture wars and stuff like that. But he doesn't return my phone calls or emails or anything.
Yeah, that would be be terrifying.
So Scotty, if you have a hookup, I appreciate the lobbying on my behalf. That would be great. All right, guys. I think that we've covered everything that we were going to cover for today. And we went a little bit long on the Crowder segment, but I think that was something that warranted a little bit of an expanded discussion. My apologies to Sean Chandler for all the political talk today. I know he didn't sign up for that. But, if he can't do it on his channel, do it on the Salty Nerd channel. Why not?
I want to do one thing before you sign off here. I got it. There's a text up here. I want us all to do this really quick. And haven't seen Morbius yet. Give me a one-word description, y'all. And I'm going to start out. I'm going to say morbilicious. So let's go around. Brian, you go ahead.
Morbtastic.
Sean?
I don't think I'm going to be able to come up with a morb pun, so I'll just go with messy.
Morby.
Odin?
Morbtacular.
Morbtacular.
And
Morbleto.
Leto.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Sorry, Morbledo. Morbledo.
Leto.
Get us out of here, man.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we had a lot to talk about today, and we talked about it. I want to give a shout out to everyone who gave us some super chats. Joker Voice, Scotty Dub, Mexican Iron Man, Taylor S, Bob Dorsey, Shorty Short, R to the Icky, and Rebecca Spade. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate you. And we also appreciate the members of our $100 club. Bob Dorsey, Scotty Dub, and the Astro Nerd Boy. You all are awesome. And just remember, guys, in order to get into the $100 club, you just need to donate $100. So that's all there is to it.
That's
I know, right?
And then you get the name up there, right?
Yeah, you get your name up there, and we really shout you out on the program. So
At what point is the program only half the screen and the rest of it is just $100 names?
When we're rich.
Okay.
Odin, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Where can people find out more about you, and do you have any final thoughts on the topics we talked about today?
Well, first off, thank you so very much for having me. As always, it's always a blast. I always look forward to this, and it's a lot of fun. You can find me at OMB Reviews on Twitter. For as far as the videos, you can find me on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble. And also I have a locals as well as Patreon Subscribestar. Tonight I'll be trying to talk a little bit about what I do every year as an Oscars boycott. I do what's called the Wednesday Raven Awards, as the name Odin, right? So it's just a play on that. And we're taking nominations right now. So if you want to submit a film or person for nomination, check out my channel, the community tab. There is a link to the form. because I'm cutting that off tomorrow, so I can
I
get
filled it out already. I can't wait.
Awesome, good, and I'm looking forward to getting the nominations ready because we'll release those as soon as the Oscars release, which will be this week. So,
real quick, Denny Wright asks, "What does $200 get you?" It gets you Alex's next child.
I'm sure
I'll
it's
say
something.
that.
I'm sure it's something super. I'm sure it's something super cringy. So
Can I
it'll
just
be good.
get feet pics?
Feet pics,
Vader
yeah.
feet pics?
Vader feetfinder.com.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor. All right. Getting back on track. Sean, thank you so much for coming. I'm sure this will be your last appearance on the Salty Saturday live stream. Where can
and we
people
never
find
saw
more
Sean
about you?
again.
Yeah, where can people find
Very
more of
far
you?
away from here. If you go on YouTube, if you look up Sean Chandler, you either find an NFL player or a guy that looks like me talking about movies. It's the guy that looks like me that's talking about movies. And then next month, I'll be at Fan Expo Portland. In March, I'll be at Fan Expo Cleveland, as well as MegaCon in Orlando. And then I'll be at Fan Expo Dallas in June. If you're in any of those areas, I would love to meet you and talk movies with you. Or I should be leading a panel on YouTube if you want to learn more about YouTube stuff.
Yeah, and there's a great video on YouTube where it was just of Sean doing his panel with Ryan Hollinger, talking about starting up and promoting MovieTube channels, like movie-centric YouTube channels, stuff like that. Excellent video. Recommend everyone go check that out and subscribe to Sean's YouTube channel. Brian, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Yeah, I think that random chatter that asked if Sean and I were brothers is because Sean's video picture is so poor, and on my show with Shane, his video picture is so poor. So I think that they're looking at it and they're like, "Oh, okay, that tracks."
Wait, before you get going, I'm going to blame StreamYards, because if you have a wonderful camera and try to stream really high definition video, StreamYards will just poop all over you. So that's not Sean's fault.
Oh no, I wasn't blaming Sean. I'm just saying I was looking at it, I was like, no wonder why she thinks we're brothers, because on my show, Shane's camera is always effed up.
She's just got bad eyesight.
Listen, I have no final thoughts. I think I said everything I want to say. I do love being here. You guys are awesome. I love hanging out with Odin every week too. Thanks for being here, bro. The thing about all the Crowder and DW stuff, we touched on a million times. At the end of the day, I think Matt was right. The only people that win here are the people that get to make fun of it. So at least we get that. You can find me on the Popcast. That's my prime channel. And then also my secondary channel my live channel is the Popcast Live, and then DC Unleashed. So the Popcast Live, the Popcast, and DC Unleashed, and all the other places that salty nerd people go. So
Fantastic. And Matt Vader 74, any final thoughts, and where can people find out more about you, and what do we have on the agenda for this week with the Salty Nerd Podcast?
So we just released our review discussion of Legend yesterday. That's doing pretty well.
Ridley Scott's Legend with Tim Curry and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that one. And next week we're going to be releasing, I believe, Demolition Man, and to talk about that. And that's what we're doing. We got stuff coming out. We're working on the studio, so we don't have stuff as much stuff coming out as we should. But just give us some time, and that's that, man. I don't know. I'm kind of like out of it right now. I don't know why, but whatever.
Yeah, he's always like, why does Kadish keep asking me stuff on this live
hey,
stream?
man, tell him about our
keep
friend.
asking me questions.
I just want to sit here and listen to other people talk.
Tell him about our friend who knows somebody. That, because how many degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon are we this week? Oh, okay. Whatever. Moving on.
All right, guys. Well, that was our show for this week. Be sure to tune in next week, same salty time, same salty channel, for yet another episode of Salty Saturdays, where we will be talking about even more nonsense, and Vader will still be giving me crap for asking him to actually participate in the live stream and do stuff.
Well, if you guys wouldn't talk over me all the time, it would be okay.
Anyway, thank you for Sean Chandler for showing up for the first and last time, I'm sure, and the rest of our excellent panel. Links to their YouTube channels are in the description, along with links to all the articles that we talked about in this show. And until next time, stay salty, my friends.